Hey, it's Dorr with Tactical Hyve. In this week's Force on Force video, it's all about shooting firm retention, up close and personal. Stay tuned. Before we get to the actual simunition reps, the Force on Force, let's go ahead and just talk through some of the points of performance. We'll go dry and then live, just to make sure I don't mess anything up when it's time to shine. All right, so when shooting firm retention, you're obviously doing so because proximity to the threat is just egregiously too close. Like it's right there, you can get stabbed, punched, tackled, shot very easily. The closer you are to a target, the easier it is to hit, obviously. So there's no time for dilly-dally. We got to get this thing out and into the fight. Now there's a few different methods, a few different preferences that you'll see with different instructors, but I'm going to tell you right now that just about everybody that teaches this stuff is teaching you what works for them, and what works for them is largely based on their body type. I'll go ahead and explain that a little bit better with some examples. So if something pops off and I'm this close, I'm probably going to need to engage with my support non-draw hand, which will put it out into harm's way. But as I draw, I'm going to do everything I can, not be striking, to not be blocking, but to get this hand and arm sucked back into my body. I want a good touch point somewhere near the wrist or above back here, so that there's no way during the scuffle as this gun comes out that I'm going to shoot myself in the hand or arm. That's actually very common, way more common than you'd think. So before I even worry about drawing the pistol, I'm gonna have a plan for this arm, all right, and that plan is keeping it out of harm's way. And as you can see with the draw, harm's way starts right here, right across my body, off to the side. So all of this in play is now in harm's way. So I'm gonna make sure I've got my hand out of the way. As far as the draw goes, it's going to be an expedient, fast draw because we are obviously not doing so hot. So I'm going to get that touch point. I'm going to go ahead and sink my grip, and I'm immediately going to clear the holster and get this thing pointed downrange. Some people exaggerate the elbow, bringing the gun actually back a little bit farther. Okay, there's a method for that madness. If the assailant was actually on you, you don't want to bury your automatic into their body because it can cause the gun to come out of battery. You got to remember you're fighting for your life, so you're going to be struggling and hitting, and this thing coming out of battery can't happen. Also, another reason for getting it back is it's harder for them to reach. You don't want the bad guy to get their hands on this thing. If they get their hands on it, you might get one shot off, but again, if they're impeding the slide, the gun will once again be out of battery, and that's bad. Yeah, so just be aware of it. So in real time, you just punch out. If I'm hitting here, I'm going to go ahead, punch out. I'll take a step back if I have to, and I will get this gun out. Once it clears the holster, I can go ahead, put my finger on the trigger and rock and roll if need be. Let's talk about touch points for your primary shooting hand. Primary shooting hand also needs a touch point. That touch point is also on my torso. Again, body type has a pretty big say on how this is going to go for you, the individual, but I personally, I'm 6 feet tall. My touch point is at my wrist. I take my wrist and I place it right along my ribs here, just like this. Some people like to go a little farther and use the thumb. That works as well. I don't feel like I need it, but whatever works for you, that's okay. Some people like to index right here on the thumb along the body. Others, really like to drive that elbow to the rear. If that works for you, great. I don't really that worried about it. My natural draw is right to here. Now, assuming I do take shots from here, that's great, but I'm not gonna stay like this. This is not where I wanna be. So I will go ahead, I will take shots if need be, and then I will punch out and get up here where I wanna be. Taking two-handed on my sights, shots same as it ever was. This is merely an emergency procedure to buy yourself some time to get up to where you need to be. Don't just stay down here. Yeah, so let's go ahead, lock and load with live ammo. And we'll just do it in real time and just see how it goes. So struggle, push off, just like so. I went ahead and canted the gun a little bit. Old habit, not necessary. We'll start right here and pull. Just like so, follow through. I'm going to, if I have to, I will send shots and send 2 more. I'm not gonna stop right here. Even if I plant perfect shots, I'm gonna follow through, get back on my gun all the way, 2 hands on my sight, slack out, ready to go. This is my stop point. Nothing changes. I just had to engage early due to proximity. Now, if I'm wrapped up and actually in a struggle, fighting, okay, I need to get this gun out. You know, I can block with this arm, I can strike with this arm, I can strike with this arm, but I want to break away. And if I need to create space to get this gun out, because this guy's on me, that's okay. Now, this is obviously way downrange from a pull. So if I have to blade off, go ahead, fighting, pull off, then I'm gonna turn. If I have to take the shot, I've got to get away. So in the event of a struggle, and I'm fighting breaking, I wanna create distance. Before I bring this gun up to bear, I need to get this hand back. If I can't do that, and I am locked up, we're gonna have to get creative, all right? And that is, we're going to shoot down and away from my person, causing as much damage as I can while keeping myself safe. And that requires kind of shooting down at a 45-degree angle into the pelvis region. Depending on how tall you are, how tall they are, how you guys match up. This might not be exact, but this guy's about as tall as I am, so it's pretty straightforward. So struggling, fighting, get the gun out. I've got my touch point, and I'm gonna take shots. This is a little bit closer. My elbow and arm are a little bit more closer to my gun line, but that's okay. This is a fight. I've got my touch point, hand on my head, I'm blocking, and I'm taking shots. And those shots are slightly down at an angle. And really what I'm going for, I'm not going for the guts. I'm not going for the spine, that's a small target. I'm engaging the pelvis. The pelvis, those pelvic bones are designed to keep your upper body supported while your lower body does its job, which is walk around, okay? If you put rounds through the pelvis, the ability to stand upright goes away very, very quickly. People drop like a ton of bricks and they scream in agonizing pain. So we're lined up, fighting, very close quarters. He's got a hold of me. So I'm going to clear the holster, get a touch point. The gun's gonna be pointed down away from my arm. I'm gonna send 2, and then at which time I would break back up away from him and get right up to where I need to be. Just like so, follow through. So fighting, pull, dead. All right, we've warmed up, we've talked about our points of performance, so let's go ahead and put it to the test, force on force style. You ready, Charles?
Let's do it.
You ready?
Let's do it.
Got a score to settle. Up next. All right, guys, so we're all geared up. We're gonna do a first scenario. This is a surprise contact, not ready for it. Close proximity attack.
Hey, man. I told you to stay away from my sister.
Whoa, dude, hey, man, dude, watch out.
Are you serious?
Stop.
Are you serious?
Look,
Are you serious? Hey, man.
Whoa. Hey, watch. All right, guys, so that was 2 force-on-force scenarios for you. I hope you liked them. On the first one, I was able to create distance and get my weapon system up and all the way up onto my sights to follow through. On the second scenario, we were wrapped up pretty tight and I had to go ahead and take those retention point blank shots. I kept the weapon close to my body, and then angled down as best I could, given the struggle to keep myself from shooting myself, which is never acceptable or okay. So this is Dorr with Tactical Hyve. Thanks for being here. See you next time.